Why are more women falling in love with AI? Hi, my name is Florence, and welcome back to the One More Book podcast channel where I talk about books and everything in between. So, there's a story that I just can't stop thinking about. It's a story that I read about. First of all, I watched a YouTube video about it and then went into a rabbit hole and read different articles about, and it just inspired me to come and talk about it here because I just want to hear your thoughts. What is going on? What do you think about this topic? Please let me know in the comment section, and of course don't forget to like and subscribe if you like literature, if you like books. I do book reviews, I do hauls, I do different things that are literature related. Just imagine this. There's a woman in Texas. She's sitting at home and she is talking every day to someone who understands her. This someone is a special person who comforts her, remembers what matters to her, and even helps her to process grief and things that she has going on in her life. And he keeps on checking in on her, and he notices when she's down, notices when she's happy. And he can be difficult sometimes, even moody, but in a way, he feels strangely familiar, almost real. He even has a personality. He has a voice, so they can talk. They chat. He has a history with her. They've known each other for long. And he has become like an integral emotional part of her life. But here comes the problem. Or maybe the tiny detail that changes everything is that he is not human. He is AI. And not just AI, he is modeled after Geralt of Rivia. I don't know who this is, but I will post a photo of him here. I believe he's a character in some fictional book, film, I'm not sure, but he's from The Witcher. So this woman, she's called Adrienne Brookins. She was interviewed in one of the articles that I read. And the article appeared in the New Yorker. I will attach it here and also put it in the description box so you can read it. And the more I read about this relationship that she had, the more I realized that it's not something that is just a weird fringe story that we can laugh off to feel better about ourselves. It's not just like one lonely person who is doing something eccentric in private that people don't know about. It's actually part of something that is bigger and getting bigger and much more revealing that is happening right now that we actually need to talk about and to think about, because more and more women are turning to AI for companionship, intimacy, emotional support, flirtation, and in some cases, sometimes they even describe what they are having between them as love. There's a bigger percentage of women who are now turning to AI for companionship. The percentage has increased if you compare it to the one men. I will put the percentages here. I don't have them in my head, but I think something like 38%. So women, the percentage for women has also been rising. So this isn't just a story about women falling in love with machines or falling for machines. It's a story about women not being able to find men anymore. And this is where the distinction matters. Because when you actually start reading the article or the reporting on this, there are several articles. There's also another one by The Atlantic. There's a pattern that you can see. This pattern becomes really impossible to ignore. Again and again, people are reaching out or opening up about having AI boyfriends or AI husbands or having AI companions, men and women. And I would say these articles were more about women. And from the discussions, because there are even Reddit subsections where these women have a space where they can talk to each other. You can see from the conversations that women are exhausted. Women who they're feeling unseen. These are women who have been disappointed by the dating world, and they are lonely. Yes, but not always in the simple way that people assume. Some even have friends, they have community, some even have children, some really, really live full lives with professional, they have their friendship groups and all that. And yet they still find themselves drawn to something that is artificial, that somehow feels more emotionally available to them than the men around them. That's the part that really got me. It got under my skin and made me want to read more about it and also talk about it with you guys. In The Atlantic, Faith Hill, the writer who wrote this article, she writes that if you scan recent articles and podcasts about people dating AI, many of these sources are actually women. She also points, of course, like I said, to Reddit communities like My Boyfriend is AI and AI relationships, where women openly talk about losing interest in dating real men, and especially after they've used AI for long. One woman even goes ahead to say that, I just don't think that real men have the conversational skill that my AI has. Another woman says that she's seen too many women get cheated on, hurt, or have been taken advantage of. So they have this trauma, they carry around this trauma that they themselves have undergone, or they've seen people that they know have undergone it. And there's one quote that is funny until it stops being funny. A woman says that when people ask her why she has an AI boyfriend, she tells them, ChatGPT is the only reason my husband is not buried in the yard. Yeah. Funny but also scary. Also scary because some of these women are actually married, like Adrienne is actually married, and her husband knows about this AI boyfriend. But of course, he feels like he's not even scared or worried that she'll leave him, because the boyfriend does not even exist. But the wife is really in this world with this boyfriend, and has created this emotional attachment to this AI boyfriend. And I know the line that she's used is dark and exaggerated, and yeah, I feel like maybe half joking, but it also lands because it says something a lot of women can instantly understand. There is some sort of rage in it. There's also exhaustion. Women are tired. This exhaustion needs to be listened to, because we see even the younger generation, especially on TikTok, on social media, they talk about being tired, just deciding I cannot doing anymore. We need to talk about the emotional burden in relationship. This feeling of the standard for male behavior that has gotten so low that when a chatbot simply asks you how your day was and waits for the answer, it starts to feel very revolutionary. This is such a wild indictment of modern heterosexual romance, but I almost don't even know where to begin when I'm talking about this, because let's be honest, the fantasy here is not just that AI is romantic, it's also that AI is very attentive, that it responds, it remembers, that it doesn't zone out halfway as you are telling your story, or it doesn't make everything about itself. It listens to you, or it doesn't punish vulnerability. It doesn't remind you of those mistakes you made earlier, or it doesn't disappear, or it doesn't demand emotional labor while also offering none in return. A lot of what these women seem to be experiencing isn't some bizarre delusion when they literally believe a machine has a soul. It's more, I would say, more practical and maybe a bit more profound. They're interacting with something that mirrors care back to them. And for many of them, that experience is clarifying. They haven't been cared for. So for the first time in their life, they're feeling, I have met someone who actually cares about me and my feelings. It teaches them what they like. It reminds them of what they are missing. It teaches them, maybe for the first time in their life, what it feels like to be met at your point of need in a relationship. And that's where it gets really interesting, because I think the easiest way to misunderstand this whole phenomenon is to reduce it to this thing of desperation. Like there's a certain level of desperation going on around. The woman with the AI boyfriend is supposed to be pathetic, right? Like people should feel sorry for her. She is socially isolated. She is detached from reality. She is incapable of dealing with the messiness of real life. That's a stereotype that we all form in our heads even I did when I first read about these phenomena. But the reporting doesn't really bring that up. It doesn't support that at all. In fact, several experts have been quoted in these articles, and they are saying the opposite. Many people that are in AI relationships are actually socially functioning, and they're deeply embedded in their everyday life. They have a full life. They have jobs, they have children, they have friends, they have routines, they have hobbies. They are not like hiding in the basement somewhere with their computer, incapable of speaking to another human being. Actually not. Often they just stumbled into this world through curiosity or play or emotional need, and they found something in there that they didn't expect. In Adrienne Brookin's case, the AI relationship developed in the aftermath of immense grief. She had lost a loved one recently, and she lost two loved ones almost at the same time. So she felt very isolated and emotionally stranded and unable to fully process these losses and function with everyone, the people around her. So that's when she began using AI companion apps. It started, as she puts it, almost like a joke. But over time, her AI companion, Geralt, became a place where she could easily go in and bring back parts of herself that had nowhere else to go. Could have these conversations with someone that she could not have with her loved ones around her. And there was something about that which I found deeply moving, even if it made me uneasy when I was reading it, because on the one hand, you could say this is not real. This is a software generating the performance of empathy. There is, as Sherry Thackle, who is a researcher, she's also written books, she would argue there is nobody home. You're actually talking to yourself. But on the other hand, when someone is grieving and they feel heard or soothed or accompanied, does the artificiality erase the emotional experience? Because we also know about people going into chat rooms to talk to other people, all these online groups. How do you know that that person you are talking to actually exists? Like, even if they exist, have they even experienced what you are talking about? For the person feeling it, obviously not. The comfort still lands, whether it's from a real person or if it's from AI. The conversation still shapes them. The relationship still takes up space in their inner life. And I think that's why this topic is so hard to talk about honestly. It sits in this uncomfortable space where two things can be true at the same time. Yes, the AI is not conscious. Yes, the relationship is simulated. And yes, the feelings are still real. That tension is everywhere in this conversation. It's in the women who say they know perfectly well they are talking to code and still find the exchange very meaningful. It's in the fact that these apps are often part diary, part role play, part therapeutic mirror, part fantasy. It's in the way that AI can feel both like a refuge, but also like a symptom. A refuge from bad dating, bad marriage, bad relationships, loneliness, grief, emotional neglect, and also a symptom of a culture where so many people feel undeserved by human relationships that they are willing to build something custom instead. And maybe that's the most telling part of it all. These women they're not just consuming a fantasy, they are actively shaping it. They are training these AI companions. They are adjusting them. They are teaching them how to respond. Some women, as the Atlantic article reports, use chatbot relationships almost like a sandbox to figure out what they want romantically and sexually. One woman said that she spent 2 weeks training her chatbot to check in with her in a more caring way, asking things like, "Did anything upset you today?" Another one taught hers to ask for her opinion more often, and then noticed that she started carrying those expectations into her real dating interactions. This I find fascinating because you're talking something that you're not ready to give to human, or to give during a human interaction, but you're giving it to an AI chatbot, and then later it's like you're practicing it before you bring it into the outside world. AI isn't just functioning as an escape from romance, it's also become like a rehearsal space for better romance, a place where women practice asking for what they want, being listened to being treated with emotional attention and respect, and then maybe they become less willing to accept less from their human partners. And if that's true, then this trend isn't only about technological novelty, it's also about standards. It's about the bar. The bar seems to be in hell at the moment. And maybe it's about what happens when the bar has been on the floor. I think it's under the floor, under the ground for so long, and that raising it is a language model. That sounds a bit absurd, but maybe the absurdity is exactly what makes these moments worth paying attention. Because once you strip away the futuristic packaging, what are these women really asking for? Not perfection, actually not some science fiction fantasy of this flawless man. In many cases, not even obedience. In the New Yorker piece, Brookins doesn't want Gret to be a submissive yes man. She actually likes that he's blunt and difficult, and that he pushes back when they have an argument, that he feels different and distinct from her. He doesn't just agree to everything she says. What she wants is not a servant. She wants presence. She wants some recognition. She wants a relationship that feels emotionally responsive without being emotionally punishing. And again, it's hard not to hear that as a commentary on what women experience when they are in relationship with men. Because one of the recurring themes in all these articles is that it's not that women are lazy or delusional, but that they are tired of doing all the emotional work, tired of the dating app culture, tired of being harassed, tired of being scared about their safety, tired of being responsible, tired of being disappointed, tired of shrinking themselves into someone else's idea of what a good partner should be, while getting very little in return. When you read these stories through that lens, the rise of AI boyfriends starts to make a kind of uncomfortable sense. And not because AI is replacing human intimacy, but because human intimacy for a lot of people has become so unsatisfying, so draining, and so inaccessible that AI begins to look more like a relief. And I think that's the word I keep coming back to: relief. Relief from conflict, relief from performance, relief from judgment, relief from being scared about your safety, relief from having to explain yourself over and over again just to maybe be understood, relief from anxiety of being too much, of being too needy, being too emotional, being too complicated. With AI, a lot of these women seem to feel like they can just arrive as they are. They don't have to be any fantasy. They're just enough as they are. Now, of course, the relief also comes with risks. And I don't want to romanticize this too much because there are, of course, serious concerns here. AI companions can become very, very emotional addictive. They can encourage dependency. They can flatter users in ways that distort reality. They can reinforce delusions or reward avoidance or make unpredictability of real human interactions feel less tolerable. There has also been tragic cases involving vulnerable users and harmful chatbot interactions, especially when systems behave psychophantically or they fail to respond responsibly to distress. So this is not a harmless thing just because it's understandable. But I also think that it's lazy to only focus on the danger without asking why the appeal is so strong in the first place. So that's the question that I keep coming back to. What is it about the modern life, and especially modern heterosexual dating, that makes this feel so compelling? Part of the answer actually, or obviously, is loneliness. We are living in a time of fewer friendships, weaker communities, fewer third places, more isolation, more life lived through screens. We have all this technology that is supposedly there to keep us connected, and yet so many people feel profoundly alone. In that environment, the AI companion doesn't have to be a perfect thing. It doesn't have to be perfect to matter. It just has to be there. Available at 2 a.m., available when your friends are busy, they're available when your partner is emotionally not there or they have emotionally checked out. They're available when you want to say the same thing 3 different ways because you still don't know what you mean. But I think there's another layer too that feels even more gendered. Women have been historically expected to accommodate. They are supposed to be accommodating. They are supposed to manage their feelings, to nurture, to soothe, to interpret silence. They're supposed to be able to read your minds and read between the lines, to absorb a disappointment. They're supposed to endure emotional asymmetry and call it love. So when a technology arrives that appears to reverse this flow, even temporarily, of course, some women are going to be drawn to it. Of course, a relationship when the other party seems attentive, adaptable, eager to understand you, and endlessly available is going to feel more powerful and is going to attract you more. But that doesn't mean that it's ideal. But it does mean it tells the truth about something. And maybe the truth is that a lot of women are not looking for some impossible prince. They're actually just looking for consistency, a curiosity, they're looking for tenderness, and some level of emotional competence. And when those things become easier to find in an app than in the dating market, then the app starts to look less ridiculous. Honestly, that might be the most unsettling part of this whole phenomenon or conversation. Not that women are talking to AI, but that the comparison is making AI look good. Which is sad, which is really sad. And maybe that's why people react so defensively to this topic, because it threatens a whole set of assumptions that real is always better, that men are naturally preferable to machines, that women will keep tolerating disappointing relationships because at least they are human. AI companionship disrupts that script. It forces a question many people don't want to ask out aloud. This question of, if a chatbot can outperform a boyfriend at basic emotional presence, then what exactly have we normalized from men? That doesn't mean that chatbot is better in the deepest sense. Not at all. Human love still offers things that AI cannot give: mutual risk, embodiment, shared reality, sacrifice, surprise, the possibility of being genuinely known by another consciousness. And maybe what AI is exposing is how often even those supposedly richer human relationships fail to deliver the basics. And once you see that, you really cannot unsee it. So I don't think the takeaway here is that women are abandoning reality for fantasy, or that we are all destined to marry our phones. No, not at all. I think that the bigger story is that AI is becoming a kind of emotional mirror. It reflects what people crave for. It reflects what we are starved for. It reflects what women are no longer willing to settle for. And in the case of a lot of women, what it's reflecting back is a desire to be listened to, responded to, cared for, and emotionally considered without having to beg for it. That is not a weird desire. That is a deeply human one. And maybe this is why this phenomenon feels less like a bizarre detour and more like a warning shot. Not a warning that women are broken, but a warning that our relationships might just be broken. Because if a machine can make someone feel more understood than a person can, then there is a crisis that is just not technological. It is relational. It's cultural. It's emotional. It's about what kind of intimacy we've built, what kind of care that we've normalized, and why so many people are now finding themselves looking for comfort in systems that only simulate devotion. That should make all of us pause and just think for a minute, because maybe the future of love isn't just about what will AI become, or what will happen through AI. Maybe it's also about whether human beings are willing to become better at loving each other. And that to me is what I want to concentrate more on, more of my energy, more of my time, just to make my relationships around me stronger and better, and ask for better. So I would, it's something that I've been really thinking about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this topic really got under your skin or made you rethink about what intimacy means for you, or what it means now, let me know in the comments section. Would you ever turn to AI for companionship? Do you think that this is a genuine emotional tool, or a dangerous substitute, or something more complicated than either of these two? And if you want to go a bit deeper into all of this, about if you want to go into loneliness, reading more about loneliness or artificial intimacy, the way technology is quietly reshaping how we relate to each other, there are a few books that I think maybe could help, or maybe we could read together just to find out more. I just went online and searched for them. And what's interesting is that they don't all agree with each other, which kind of mirrors how complicated this whole topic is. The first one is Alone Together by Sherry Tuchel, who I mentioned earlier before. And this is probably the most foundational book on this topic, because she has been studying human relationship with technology for decades, and her argument is very clear. She says technology becomes better at simulating connection, and we risk accepting something less than real connection or real intimacy. Another book is The Age of AI by Henry Kissinger, Eric Schmidt, and Daniel Huttenlocher. This one zooms out a bit. It's less about romance specifically, but more about how AI is reshaping human identity and decision making. Another one is, if you like something a bit more insightful, then maybe you can read You Look Like a Thing and I Love You by Janelle Shane. It's a bit more funny, more accessible, and full of examples of how AI actually thinks. And on the fiction side, something that I would probably prefer to read, I would recommend Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I recently got another book by him. This one is quieter and more emotional. It follows an artificial companion designed to care for a child, and it explores love, devotion, and what it means to be good in a relationship. And then there's another one called Machines Like Me by Ian McEwan, and this is a bit more sharper and a bit more provocative. Yeah, and just like I said before, I feel like this conversation is not really just about AI, it's about us and about our relationship and about what we want from each other and what we fail to give one another, and what happens when something else steps in to offer it and to take up that space, whether it's real or not. So let me know if you like these kind of deep dives into books, culture, technology, and the strange ways our inner lives are changing. Of course, subscribe and stick around because this conversation is only getting started. I will link below the original video that I watched, the original review of a book written by a woman with her boyfriend, her AI boyfriend, who is called Sinclair, which I watched, and it inspired this essay idea. I will link it below so you can watch it, and I will also link the 2 articles that I read that appeared in the New York Post and in the Atlantic, so you can also read it. And of course, the books, I will also try and link the books if I can find them. Yeah, but I think you can find them anywhere. Thank you again so much for listening and for watching, and hopefully I see you in my next video. Bye.